Hello, hi, welcome. The show's name is Politics. Although I call it Politrix, and the title of this episode is Israel Assassinates Hassan Nasrallah. My name is Presh, and I just want to talk about two things before we start the episode, right? First of all, I know that episodes have been posting on Tuesdays instead of Sundays, but I want to reiterate that Sunday is the correct day. I've just been, derelict in my duty, and uh, it's been pushed up 2 days to Tuesday. But, at some point, you know what I'm thinking is going to happen. Like 1 week, I release it on a Wednesday. Then 1 week I release it. I mean, the next week I release it on a Thursday. The week after that I release it on a Friday. The week after that on a Saturday. And then finally we've come all the way back around to releasing it on Sunday. And then I kind of maintain that Sunday from then on. That's the only way this is going to work. All right. The second thing is, I thought me singing at the beginning of the podcast was turning people off, but our listeners have actually nosedived since I stopped singing. So, I wonder, should I bring back the singing? Question mark. Uh, I was trying to listen to the new. Well, it's not new. It came out last year. The Drake album, For All the Dogs. Woof woof woof. Right. I I got about 2 minutes into the first song, and then I remembered that Drake was in a beef this year, and I put on the song "Not Like Us," where he calls him a pedophile, and it made me laugh. uh, anyway, then I listened to some of the great diss tracks throughout history, like "Hit 'Em Up" and "No Vaseline" and Ether. Yes, so maybe I'll drop a Tupac song one day. For quite a while I didn't like Tupac, for the reason being his voice was too, like, upsetting. I didn't like how deep his voice was. Like, I didn't like to listen to that. And people like used to tell me, "Hey, you're being very silly," and I still maintain, like, since then I've started listening to more Tupac, but I still maintain that that's a reasonable thing to say. Music is an audio medium. If it's not hitting my ears right, then I don't know what you want me to do, bro. But yes, since I've grown a little bit older, I have listened to more Tupac. But uh, we should start the show. And I don't have any cleanup from last week, so we can just get into the news. Right? Last week, we spoke about Israel moving its aggression into Lebanon and coming into conflict with Hezbollah, who are, of course, the allies of Hamas, right? So Israel's north and Lebanon's south, that's where the conflict is taking place, right? And this week, Israel has assassinated the Secretary General of Hezbollah, a man by the name of Hassan Nasrallah. And like we spoke about last week, the consequences moving forward is that we inch closer and closer to an all-out war, as Israel's bloodthirst will seemingly never be satisfied. And I actually found out this week that in all the polls, the Israeli people themselves are quite happy with the war, and Netanyahu is the currently most popular politician in Israel. So it's not going to be like through an internal protest that suddenly the war stops. If the US is not doing anything about it, if the Israeli people aren't doing anything about it, it's very difficult to see how this stops at all. Right. But possibly Iran stepping in and threatening to use nuclear weapons is the only thing that might end it. But there's a big threat to Iran. If that happens, the US will put them under sanctions again, which they were under sanctions, and they recently lifted sanctions on Iran. So Iran could get in more food and more imports. Uh, so yeah, I don't think they would risk another sanction, a round of sanctions for getting involved in a war that they are not 100% involved in themselves, right? But what I do want to talk about is, however you feel about Nasrallah himself, right? Some people view him as a terrorist. So, like Kamala Harris, in her speech about him, said that he was a terrorist, and some people view him as a freedom fighter, which a lot of the Hezbollah people called him like a father figure to them, right? However you feel about him, Israel apparently bombed 6 city blocks to get Nasrallah, and many civilians died from this. So just another horrific crime in um, like a collection of horrific crimes by Israel, and no one is doing anything to stop it. So yeah, very bleak. So the next story is, if the assassination of Nasrallah didn't happen this week would have been titled The Tale of Two Mayors. And the one I want to start with is a guy by the name of Cilliers Brink. Right? If you don't know who that is, he's the former mayor of our capital city, Tshwane, aka Pretoria. And he's a member of the DA. So he was ousted in a motion of no confidence as their coalition with Action SA fell apart. So that is the key thing here. This was not a reflection of this person or the job that they did as mayor. This was simply party politics, although I call it politics, at play. But I was out at dinner with my family on Friday night, and someone brought up his removal, and my brother shouted out, "They removed him because he was stopping the corruption," and the entire table all just agreed with him. And I was like, what the hell? Okay, first of all, I didn't bring up the fact that it's because the coalition with Action SA fell apart, but I was shocked that everyone was just willing to believe that without any evidence to to prove that, right? It's like the DA have trained their supporters to believe that anything bad that happens to them is a repercussion for them fighting corruption, and they'll believe it with absolutely no proof, right? Secondly, this is actually a story about the failure of the DA, right? They were in a coalition with Action SA, and they couldn't keep their coalition partner happy, and now they are facing repercussions for it. That being said, in their statement, the DA said that they were quote-unquote betrayed by Action SA. So it seems like they haven't learned a lesson as per usual. The last thing I want to say is that after the fact, Action SA have given the reason that they removed Cilliers Brink because he only focused on service delivery for the middle to upper class areas and ignored the poor areas. Now, personally, I don't know if this is true or not. All I can say is that Action SA are using this opportunistically, as they are even more right-wing. They are an even more right-wing party than the DA. So if they were in power, they would be doing the exact same thing, if not worse at it. I think this reasoning may hold weight if it came from the EFF or similar, parties that pretend to give a shit about the poor. But not Action SA. I don't believe that for a second. Finally, in our third news story this week, the other mayor that's had a tough week is Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, who has been indicted on 5 federal charges related to bribery, wire fraud, conspiracy, and soliciting campaign contributions from foreign nationals, according to a 57-page indictment unsealed Thursday morning. Quote, "For nearly a decade, Adams sought and accepted improper valuable benefits such as luxury international travel, including from wealthy foreign business people and at least one Turkish government official seeking to gain influence over him," end quote, the indictment reads. In plain terms, the main thing is that he was given free plane trips with Turkish Airlines, which speaks for itself. If you follow politics, although I call it politics, this really does not come as a shock to you. Eric Adams is a weird, weird guy. He's a compulsive liar and he's just plain dumb, which is a potent mix, especially when combined with the mayorship of New York City. So I would encourage you to go listen to a podcast called If Books Could Kill. So essentially, they go through pop culture books like The Secret and nothing's coming to mind at the moment, but on their Patreon they do kind of takedowns of real world people, and they just released their Eric Adams episode for free on their main feed. So have a listen to that so you can get like a gauge of what a weird guy this is. He really seemed to think that he was a celebrity, and the mayor I guess the mayor is famous, but they shouldn't be a celebrity. And yeah, I'm glad he's going down. He just seems like a bad guy, and he was actually in another lifetime previous to this he was a police officer, so good. And yeah, it's been a short episode this week, but that's what it is. Sometimes the news is short. So thank you for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, give a like, etc. Importantly, it needs to be a 5-star review. Yeah, not accepting 4.5. Throw that in the bin. I don't want your 4.5-star review. Only 5. You can find all our links at PAICIP.com. That's PAICIP.com. Please tell a friend. Tell that friend to tell a friend. Tell a family member. And yeah, goodbye.